Hey, I wanted to come on here and share with you my experience with this 36-hour fast that I am just now about to wrap up. I have a beautiful warm cup of bone broth right now that I'm about to break my fast with, and I wanted to come sit outside. It's chilly. We're still in that kind of interesting space between the clutches of winter starting to let go, and spring has definitely sprung. I mean, I'm seeing, I'm looking at my front yard right now and all of the thick grass where the dogs have been peeing all winter. It's all warm here, and I can hear the birds, and the sun just rose. Of course, I'm facing west right now, so the sun is behind the house, but it's just a beautiful thing, and I wanted to come out here and kind of celebrate and take my time in breaking my fast. So don't mind me as I sip my bone broth, because it's it's time. So I've been on, well, first off, if you don't know who I am, I'm Corey Ray Kovacs. I am a registered nurse as well as a cyclical lifestyle coach for women. So I help women build healthy habits that help restore the balance and take back control of their health and learn how to heal their body, mind, and soul from within. And so I walk what I teach. So I have been on a fasting journey for about 3 months now, but I've been on a wellness journey for much longer than that. But I just recently started adding fasting into my repertoire to take care of myself and to really heal some of these things that have challenged my body, and that, quite frankly, have not been managed well from allopathic medicine. And of course, maybe that sounds funny as coming from a registered nurse, but if there was anything I could tell you from becoming a nurse, is how much I realized that we were just chasing symptoms and not actually healing anybody. And so I'm grateful for my education in many, many ways. Also, there's many other ways to lean into healing and self-care. And so that's what this channel's about, Ray's Anatomy. We are here to learn more about our bodies and to unlock the power of our healing. So yeah, today I wanted to share a little bit more about this experience that I had as a 36-hour fast. And I know you might be thinking, holy shit, 36 hours without eating food? That's insane. You are insane. I could never do that. I will share with you, I was one of those people. I seriously, okay, so I know that sounds like funny, like, oh yeah, but you just did it. So, no. Okay, so I have struggled my whole life with challenges of hypoglycemia and really, I've really struggled with my sugar management system. I have a condition called polycystic ovarian syndrome, which, if you're familiar with that, or PCOS, if you're familiar with that, PCOS it's not just a fertility problem, right? It's not just irregular cycles, but it's a metabolic challenge, and it affects your brain, it affects how your body processes sugar, and it affects how you handle stress, and it affects your energy levels. So even from a very young age, I can remember when I was like 7 or 8, if I didn't eat pretty much first thing in the morning, I would get shaky, I would get foggy, like my brain wouldn't work well, And at school, I would really struggle with that because sometimes I would eat breakfast or I wouldn't eat breakfast, or the kind of breakfast that I would eat typically, like a bowl of cereal, right? That's what we ate as kids in the 80s and the 90s, right? It was cereal or Pop-Tarts or whatever. And so that's how I would just start my morning, you know, or a packet of oatmeal or something like that. And we were finding that I was experiencing hypoglycemic episodes. And it was frequent enough that we went to the doctor to talk about it. And it wasn't dangerous. Like, it wasn't like I was passing out, although that has happened before. But I definitely was experiencing things that made concentrating difficult in the morning. I would get hangry, you know, like my moods would be, and then I would get kind of lethargic, and I would have a really difficult time putting my words together. That was probably one of the biggest signs that I was really struggling with managing my blood sugar, is that when I was in these kind of episodes, I had a hard time communicating to others and what was happening. So I learned how to care for myself. The doctor wasn't really concerned, but she gave me some tips, and she said, you need to eat, you know, protein with your breakfast. You need to have protein with your breakfast. And she recommended learning some things from the Zone diet. I don't know if any of you all remember that. If you're in the younger audience, maybe you probably not. But those of you older may be familiar with that. But basically just making sure that I was eating protein first thing in the morning. And that helped. I also learned to keep a snack on me at all times. And just to pay attention, right? When those signs started to come, to make sure that I got food. And there were a couple times when things got really kind of scary, particularly when I was overseas. There was this time that I ended up in a very precarious situation in London, and it was kind of scary. But so I knew, right? I've grown up for the 40 years that I've been alive, that I was like, I can't go very long without eating. And so that was what I had programmed in my mind. And so when this concept of fasting started coming into my world about a year ago, when I ran across Dr. Mindy Pelz, if you're familiar with her, then welcome. You are welcome here. If you know if you know who she is, and if you love her, then you're gonna love this channel. I've had the privilege of learning under Dr. Mindy Pelz over the last 2 months, to learn how to teach others how to fast and be one of her coaches. So it's been exciting. But anyway, running across Dr. Mindy Pelz and learning about intermittent fasting, I of course heard about intermittent fasting, but I always was just like, that's not for me. And since I've been on this healing journey, and particularly finding ways to heal myself that honors my cycles and that leads into my cycles, I was really attracted to her message about how to do these types of, biohacks through a cyclical manner. I decided to start in January exploring what that looked like for me, and I was concerned. I was concerned that I would feel shaky, that I wouldn't feel good. I was concerned that I just wouldn't feel good. Yeah, because I had all that experience my whole life of feeling those times of low blood sugar. And so I started to learn a little bit more, and I have been for several years now, like learning more about my body and learning about how my body reacts to things, and building trust with myself to know when things are safe and when they are not. I dedicate a lot of time to learning that about myself. And I think that others, if there's anything you take away from today, it's this: learn about your body and how your body works and what works for your body. And because you are the ultimate, you are the person living in your body, and your body wants is constantly sharing messages with you. So she wants to take care of you, but you got to learn her language. And so I have been learning the language of my body and my unique, beautiful body for several years now. And so when I started learning and researching the benefits of intermittent fasting and the healing that can come from that space, I was interested in giving it a try, but I knew I needed to be safe. So I made sure that I went in slowly, I paid attention, and I didn't hold myself to rigid rules. So if you're kind of new on this fasting journey or health journey, like holding those kind of 3 rules are really helpful. That I didn't, I listened to my body. I had a goal in terms of my time frame of where I was going. I was being intentional with the fasting and what I was doing. I was making sure I was doing it in the right time of my cycle that was supportive to my hormones. And if I got to a certain point where I was feeling those symptoms, right, like my low blood sugar or whatever, then I would break my fast. So that really helped build trust with this process. And so I've now been able to build up. And I knew this cycle, right? I planned it, and I knew that I wanted to lean into a 36-hour fast. I had done a couple 24-hour fasts, and almost. I'd almost got to 24 hours, but like I said, I was monitoring my blood glucose. I have a glucose monitor, and I have a couple of different monitors, but I'm now using a Keto Mojo, and so because it monitors both ketones and blood glucose. But so I was paying attention. I was paying attention to what was happening to make sure I was safe. That was really, really important to me. And so when I planned to do this 36-hour fast, I really had to come back to my why. Why am I doing a 36-hour fast? Why 36 hours? Why not 24? Why not 48? Why 36? So this is where kind of science kind of gets a little cool. So at 17 hours, your body starts to clean up your cells, and it's called autophagy. So you have a cellular self-cleaning system that really starts to unlock around that space, around 17 hours or so. And when that happens, when you're already kind of in a state of ketosis, which happens when you get to that point. And if you want to learn more about fasting and what I'm talking about, if you're like, what are we talking about here? Then, I'll have more videos to come. But basically, your body shifts over from using sugar or using food as your primary energy source to using your fat stores as an energy source. Your body has the capability to switch, and it's called metabolic switching. And so your body has the ability to shift in and out of this space. And so once your body switches over and starts using your stored sugar and fat that's already in your body as fuel, because your body is beautifully adapted to manage time of feast or famine, right? Our ancestors didn't have refrigerators, didn't have all those things. And so our bodies adapted to that time when we would have food and then when we would not have food. We have to be able to survive when we don't have food. So our bodies are smart, deliciously smart, intelligent bodies have the ability to do that. And so they reach into the stores of fat and all the sugar and everything that's been stored in our fat cells and that are located on the surface of our body, right, on the outside, as well as in our muscles, in our and in our organs, particularly like our liver. So when you switch over to that fat burning system and you're making ketones, now you're reaching into a space where your body is like, okay, I'm no longer needing to digest food. What else can I do up in this joint, right? Your body's looking for something to do. So it goes and it's like, let's clean house a little bit. So it goes and it starts cleaning up your cells. And that process is called autophagy. And basically it's going in there and cleaning up all the little bits and pieces that maybe aren't working as well anymore, that have been damaged from things like toxins or free radicals or, just stuff from living life, okay? Your cells get hurt. Like, we know that. We know that, you could take cellular damage from many, many, many different things just from living life in the day and age that we live. And so now you're cleaning that up. And so after that 17 hours, now your cells are in that cellular repair. There are different levels of fasts that you can do to target specific things. And so when I was choosing what long fast I wanted to do this month, because I only do one a month right now, because I'm still a baby faster, I'm still learning, there were a couple things I wanted to focus on. First off, I wanted to focus on healing my gut. I have had a significant amount of gut problems over the last few years. I would say it's probably been going on longer than that, to be honest, but definitely in the last 4 to 5 years, I was experiencing a lot of things like bloating. My stomach would hurt after I ate. I was having a lot of diarrhea. It was very regular. I could practically set my watch to my bowel movements, my BMs, but yeah, it was typically uncomfortable and a lot of loose stool, and my belly just was very bloated, very kind of distended, like it stuck out. Oh, sorry for dropping like my nurse terms out there, but it stuck out. And it was kind of hard, like it just didn't feel good, right? And I had a lot of gas and things like that. So from my research, my knowledge as a nurse, as well as like research into, integrative medicine and functional medicine, that likely I was experiencing some pretty big gut microbiome issues. I was also struggling with recurrent yeast infections, and headaches, eczema, just a lot of like indicators that I was having problems with my gut. So when I first embarked on this healing journey with fasting, that was actually the first thing that I knew I wanted to do. Is I wanted to feel better with my belly. I wanted my belly to feel better. I didn't want to feel bloated anymore. I didn't want to feel uncomfortable with my bowel movements. I didn't want my belly to hurt. And so, yeah, of course, like at that point, when I first started my journey 2 years ago, it was more primarily about weight loss, because I didn't know all the things that I know now. But I certainly have gotten to the point where health is more important to me than a number on the scale. Not going to say that it doesn't matter, because it does, but it's certainly not the primary reason why I choose to do the things that I do. So in the 36-hour fast, you actually are kind of getting this reset in your gut. Because food hasn't been coming into my belly, my digestive system has been able to just like, take a breath. There's evidence that after 24 hours, you start to repair the gut lining start generating stem cells, like new cells that are able to repair things inside your gut, and particularly in your gut lining. So I wanted to lean into that, and that was one of the top reasons why I chose to do a 36-hour fast. The other reason is for cholesterol management. This is another thing that happens with women who experience polycystic ovarian syndrome is that they tend to have high cholesterol. Now, I've not seen a number under 200. Gosh, I don't think ever. Not since I've been getting my cholesterol tested, at least. I think the lowest I've ever seen my cholesterol was 207, and that was when I was eating like Whole30, and I had been taking care of myself. That was post, ASIN was about 3 at the time, so this was about 8 years ago, and so that was the best number I've ever seen, and honestly, lately my cholesterol's been creeping up, and so when I learned about the 36-hour fast and what it could do, this was one of the things that was very helpful and was an intended purpose of me doing this 36-hour fast. So your liver is the organ that's responsible for making the cholesterol in your body. Despite what people think, cholesterol is not just about the food that you eat, okay? Like, it's not about that. Your liver actually makes cholesterol, and you need cholesterol. You need cholesterol that's where all of your sex hormones come from. They need that. And there's so many different functions inside your body that require cholesterol, but obviously too much of it can you can really have challenges, and it increases your risks for things like cardiovascular events. We know there's a correlation there. So I have been wanting to bring my bad cholesterol down and elevate my good cholesterol. So when I found that the 36-hour fast actually helps to repair it gives space to your liver to kind of chill out for a bit, because it's not concentrating on processing the food. It's not concentrating on that. And I'm also, I'm not drinking alcohol. I'm not smoking anymore. I'm in the process of reducing my exposures to environmental toxins. So I know that anything I could do to help my liver is something that I want to do. And since 36-hour fast particularly helps target the fat that's kind of in the liver, that is helping to alleviate some of that pressure. So, which can help reduce cholesterol. Of course, the other thing, especially if you watch Dr. Mindy's channel, she talks about the 36-hour fast being a great tool for weight loss resistance. Now, I haven't necessarily been weight loss resistant, not recently. However, I want to release that stored sugar. I want to release all those things that no longer serve me. My body took care of me when I couldn't take care of myself. When I was going through my very challenging time as a single mom, I went into survival mode, and I ignored my body. I ate like shit. I did not move my body. Several years I didn't work out. Several years. And so my body did exactly what she is designed to do, and she took on that responsibility. She helped keep me alive by taking that excess sugar that I was eating and storing it in my body, storing it in my belly, storing it in all my fat cells, like on my legs and my butt and my arms and my face. And she was doing everything she could to keep me safe. And that's, 70 pounds. I gained 70 pounds in 4 years, y'all. That's a lot of weight. And it's weighed heavy on me. It's not about looking a certain way. It's not about the number on the scale. It's about the feeling of being weighed down, of life pressing on you. And I felt that. I felt the weight of that. I felt the weight that I was carrying around, and it was hurting me. It was hurting physically. It was hurting me physically. My joints hurt. It was hard to get out of bed. It was hard to move. The sedentary life that I was living was it didn't feel good. I didn't feel good. And so I'm here to kind of change this, and I know so many other people are too, like to change this narrative about weight loss. It's not about the number on the scale, and it's not about that. It's not about that. For me, at least, it's not about that. It's about the way I feel. I want to feel alive, and I want to feel joyful, and I want to feel vibrant, and I want to be able to run around with my puppies and have fantastic romps in bed with my partner. I want to like feel strong. And I remember one of my whys when I first started on my fitness journey was like, I want to feel up. I want to feel up. I used to be a dancer when I was a kid. I danced for 13 years, and I loved the feeling of feeling up, of jumping and flying through the air, and just like, I loved those feelings, and I missed them. And I didn't want to feel down anymore. I wanted to feel up. So when I choose things to care for myself, that's what I'm doing. I'm choosing things to help me with that. And this is a tool that I can use to help me let go of those old stories of not being visible, the shame that I carried around for so long about gaining all that weight, and the shame that I carried for being a single mom, the shame I carried for not having my career figured out, the shame I carried for not being able to hack it in the hospital as a nurse, because we lived in a post-pandemic world of a healthcare system that didn't give a rat's ass about you caring for yourself, or at least that's what it felt like for me. There was no prevention. It was all sickness management, and I just wasn't for me. And so here I am, enjoying my bone broth. Why bone broth? I'll talk about that in a minute. Enjoying my bone broth and sharing with you my journey and where I'm at. And obviously, like, if you're still here listening, then thank you. If you're enjoying if you've been here watching me and hearing me talk for 27 minutes, then please subscribe, because this is what I do. This is what I do. I just come on here and I talk and I have a conversation with you. As my puppy is looking outside, trying to figure out why I'm outside. We're just people having a conversation. And so, yeah, I'd love to hear a comment if there was something that I've shared with you that felt resonant with you. I would love to hear. I think this video is going to end up being a part 2 because I'm still talking. So let's break it up a little bit. There'll be a part 2 where I'll share with you. I have my list right here. That's what I was looking at. My list of observations of what I discovered during my 36-hour fast, the lessons that I learned. And so if you're interested in hearing a little bit more about that, then make sure you pay attention, subscribe. So that way you get notifications when I share part 2. And just what I love for you to walk away with as we wrap this episode of Ray's Anatomy up. Healing is a journey, my friend. If you are on some sort of weight loss journey or wellness journey or life journey, there are ways that help you live your best life. And sometimes you've got to get a little curious about that. And learn that your body, she is just phenomenal. She's incredible, and she's done everything that she can to help you stay alive. And the more that you take care of her and love on her and give her the devotion like you would a newborn baby, the more that you lean into that, the easier it is to do the things that it takes to feel better. The easier it is to move, the easier it is to eat healthy, nutrient-dense food, the easier it is to manage your stress, to improve your sleep, to, do the things that it takes to feel healthier. And so just know that wherever you're at on your journey right now, you're exactly where you're meant to be. And if you're here watching my channel, then you definitely were meant to hear this message. It was for you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Stay tuned for part 2 of my breakdown of my 36-hour fast, my lessons learned, and things that I observed during that fast, and where I'm going from here. So much love to you, my friend, and please remember that you are so worthy of your vibrant life.